Hi everyone, I'm Shawn Kingsley, a marine archaeologist, the editor-in-chief of Wreckwatch magazine, and an all-round agent provocateur of the maritime world. Mike, I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I just wanted to say a few words about your interest and journey and to wish you great congratulations on a major achievement. So at one level, this is a story about five bright and brave men living on Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. On October the 5th, 1955, they escaped the island in search of a better life. It was a 4,200-kilometer voyage to freedom, and after 56 days drifting at sea, they landed on the reef of the tiny island in the Cook Islands. And that's where a young and curious Michael Tavioni, fishing with his father, learnt about the world across the ocean, and his curiosity was aroused by these desperate people. So it's an adventure story, right? Well, no, not quite. This is a story about lies, forgotten memory, and yes, Western imperialism. It's a story about the truth behind the world's most misunderstood ancient civilization. Ultimately, the reader is forced to confront this one painful truth. Why were the indigenous people of Rapa Nui locked up on their own island, banned from their sea, their culture, their lifeline? And what on earth, or on sea, brought this tragic reality to a head in 1955? And as Mike explains, the desperate plight of the Rapa Nui Five marked a line in the sand when the people of Rapa Nui reached rock bottom. It was a tipping point. Something had to give. Today, the world celebrates Easter Island as a paradise. It's the ultimate off-the-beaten-track, wild escape to travel to tell all your friends how adventurous you are on Facebook and Instagram, right? But Rapa Nui was and still is about the plight of real people, real exploitation, and real injustice. A history almost always misunderstood, or as Mike would say, a lie. And as one of the father of the lies, Captain Cook, put it in January 1770, there was not one of us that had the least doubt but what these people were cannibals. The same untruths live on in much of the scientific and popular imagination today. And here's what great Western writers still have to say. To Professor Jared Diamond, the evidence showed that they also turned to the largest remaining meat source available, humans, whose bones became common in late Easter Island garbage heaps. And this is National Geographic. It is generally thought that the Rapa Nui's demise resulted from an environmental catastrophe of their own making. And UNESCO calls Rapa Nui a unique cultural phenomenon, an unrivaled cultural landscape that continues to fascinate people throughout the world. And then it adds, the Rapa Nui National Park continues to exhibit a high degree of authenticity because there has been little intervention since virtual abandonment of the area in the later 19th century. And you just wonder whose authenticity they're referring to. Just one reason why escaping west to reach the rising sun matters is because there's almost no written trail about the Great Escape of 1955. Michael's relied nearly exclusively on piecing together the spoken word from people who lived through it, a very different type of oral history than peddled by missionaries seeing heathen savages the church just had to save. In doing so, Mike offers a very different truth about who the people of Rapa Nui were, why and how they sculptured and set up their 1,000 statues, and how their paradise was destroyed by Western interference. This book reverses the trend of reading Rapa Nui through a Western telescope, inside out. This is a new way of telling history that colourfully links Rapa Nui's past through poems, rock art, oral storytelling, chants, legends, canoes, and statues. There are three big reasons why we should cherish this book. Firstly, the Western obsession with the noble statues of Rapa Nui has left the island's natural resources exhausted. The island's beaches are choked with plastic trapped in the Pacific Ocean's trash vortex. 40 years ago, Mike points out, 76% of the islanders spoke Rapa Nui, but today it's just 10% of the youth can speak the language. In short, a traditional way of life going back 1,200 years is close to extinction. Soon, it will be game over. Secondly, everywhere we look, we're being told to decolonize the sins of our empire-building ancestors, those explorers who dragged at least 10 of the stone spirit statues and their energy to the British Museum and the Louvre in France. In the types of debates about the Benin Bronzes or the transatlantic slave trade, you don't seem to see much about the indigenous rights of Rapa Nui, people who seem still to be choked by the modern legal rights of Chile, which annexed the island in 1888. Finally, this story matters intimately and personal to Michael Tavoni. He's lived with it every day for almost 70 years and writes how I can still see the Rapa Nui 5 drifting to shore on Atui Island that fateful early morning on the 30th of December, 1955. So I'm delighted to see Escaping West reach the Rising Sun published. Big congrats to everyone involved. Now people's eyes can be opened to realize that Easter Island is not about Easter Island. It's about Rapa Nui. And Rapa Nui is not about statues buried in soil. It's about the ocean. And ultimately, we remember that history does not reside in objects. It lives in people like the Rapa Nui 5 of 1955. So big congratulations, Michael. Enjoy your evening. And here's to taking action by the pen. Stop the lies.